My beloved, quiet your heart in this moment, for what I am speaking to you is not an echo of fleeting emotion, but a word ordained from eternity. It is not by chance that you have arrived at this point. Every path you have walked, every tear you have shed, every time you felt forgotten, all of it is converging into a moment I have long prepared. You once thought you were learning how to stand firm, but in truth, I was quietly laying the foundation for a position where you will no longer stand as one who seeks, but as one who has been placed. As it is written, you did not choose me, but I chose you. John 15:16. And that choosing is not based on what you can prove, but on what I established within you from the beginning. There were days when you felt as though you were merely trying to survive. Yet in those very days, I was rewriting your identity with strokes you could not carve on your own. You did not see, but I saw. You did not understand, but I understood. And now, as you begin to sense a shift within, a steadiness no longer dependent on circumstances, this is not the result of your striving, but the sign of authority being positioned. For true authority does not come from what you seize, but from recognizing what has already been given. As it is written, all authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Matthew 28:18. And from me, that authority is not withheld, but released to those who abide in me. Remember Joseph, who was sold into slavery, falsely accused, and forgotten in prison. No one saw a ruler in him, but I did. And not only did I see it, I sustained him through a process where not a single step was wasted. When the appointed time came, in a single day, he was brought out of prison to stand before the king, not as one who begs, but as one who carries the answer. Do you see? His transformation did not begin when he was elevated. It began while he remained faithful in places unseen. In the same way, you do not need to wait for everything to change to recognize that authority has been given to you. You need only perceive that it is already within you, and that its time is unfolding. Understand this deeply. I do not place you into a new position as an experiment. I am not testing to see if you can do it. I knew you before you knew yourself. What you have called weakness, I have used to form the tenderness required. What you have called failure, I have turned into the foundation of wisdom, and what you have perceived as delay, I have used to align you with heaven's timing. Therefore, when I bring you into this new function, you do not walk as one still learning, but as one who has been prepared. The Lord makes firm the steps of the one who delights in him. Psalm 37:23. And when your steps are established by me, you have no need to fear going astray. You may still feel a trembling within, not because you are unready, but because you are becoming aware of the weight of what has been entrusted to you. But hear me, that trembling is not a sign of weakness. It is an awareness of glory. When Isaiah beheld the vision of me, he cried out that he was unworthy. Isaiah 6. Yet in that very moment, I did not reject him. I purified him and sent him. What makes you feel small is not a barrier. It is the doorway through which my power is revealed in you. For my power is made perfect in weakness. 2 Corinthians 12:9. Now, you are no longer standing at the threshold of preparation. You have stepped into the current of operation. This means you will not only hear, you will speak. Not only receive, you will impart. Not only stand, you will influence. The places you enter will not remain the same. Not because you strive to change them, but because the presence within you carries a different flow. Just as light does not need to argue with darkness, its mere presence is enough to dispel it, so it is with your life. It does not need to be displayed. Yet it will reveal itself. Therefore, my beloved, stop seeing yourself as one still waiting for another sign. The sign has already come. It is the movement within you. Stop seeking confirmation from the outside. for I have placed that confirmation within your heart. When you walk from that place, you will no longer be shaken by what surrounds you, because you are no longer anchored in circumstances, you are anchored in me. The righteous shall live by faith. Romans 1:17. And that faith is not a vague hope, but a certainty of what I have spoken. Stand up, not in striving, but in awareness, not in proving, but in agreement with what I have spoken over you. And when you agree, the doors will not merely open, they will not be able to close. You will step into spaces you once never imagined. And there, you will not feel out of place, because I have gone before you. I have not only called you, I am already there, waiting for you. So walk, my child, not as one who is trying, but as one who has been entrusted, not as one who still doubts, but as one who has been sealed. And as you walk in this way, you will see you are not striving to live a different life. You are stepping into the very life I ordained for you from the beginning. My beloved, let your heart be still in this assurance. The moment you are standing in is no longer for uncertain questioning, but for wholehearted response. It is no longer what will come, but I am ready to step. For what I am doing is not merely rearranging what you see outwardly, but repositioning you within a greater order, one that was written before you understood your own journey. When I determine that you are to move forward, no force can hold you back. What I open, no one can shut. And what I shut, no one can open. Revelation 3:7. And the door I place before you does not lie in the hands of man, but in my sovereign authority. Do not seek peace in everything becoming clear, for true peace does not come from full understanding, but from trusting that my word is enough. You walk not because you see the entire path, but because you know who is leading you. As it is written, my word shall not return to me void, but it shall accomplish what I please. Isaiah 55:11. And that very word is sustaining your steps, even when your eyes have not yet seen the full picture. Therefore, the peace within you is not the silence of circumstances, but the steadiness of a soul grounded in me. Look back upon the path you have walked, not to regret or to accuse, but to recognize that my hand has always been there. There were seasons when you felt buried, unseen like a seed, hidden deep within dark soil. But my child, a seed is not forgotten, it is being prepared for life. I did not place you in hidden places to diminish you, but to protect what I have sown within you from eyes not yet mature enough to understand. He shall hide me in the secret place of his tabernacle. Psalm 27:5. Not to confine, but to shelter, to nurture, and to shape you in a wisdom that surpassed your understanding at the time. Remember Moses, who was raised in a palace yet had to pass through 40 years in the wilderness. No one could see a deliverer of a nation in a solitary shepherd. Yet it was in that desolate place that I taught him to hear my voice, to walk not by human power, but by my presence. When the bush burned without being consumed, it was not merely a sign, it was the moment I called him out of obscurity. And when he responded, he was no longer a fugitive, but one who was sent. Do you see? The place you thought was a retreat was, in truth, where I was preparing you for a step forward beyond what you could imagine. There may be things in your past you have not fully understood, doors that closed, relationships that drifted away, dreams that seemed to shatter. But let me open your eyes to see. Not every closed door is rejection. Often, it is protection. Not every loss is failure. Often, it is pruning, so that you do not carry into the next season what does not belong there. All things work together for good to those who love God. Romans 8:28. And that includes even what you could not understand when it happened. Now, You no longer stand in the shadow of what is past. You are stepping into the light of what is being revealed. Yet this light is not meant to overwhelm you. It is meant to help you see yourself clearly in me. You do not need to become someone else in order to step into it. You only need to embrace who I have created, shaped, and restored you to be. For what I give is not reserved for a perfected version of you. It is given to you as you are, transformed through the journey. Therefore, my beloved, walk with rest in your heart, not because you have secured every outcome, but because you know the one who holds the outcomes is with you. As you walk, you will see the path unfold. As you believe, you will see what I have spoken take form. And each step you take will no longer be uncertain, but a confirmation that you are exactly where I have appointed you to be. Let my word become the deepest foundation within you, the place no wind can shake. And when you stand upon that foundation, you will realize something. You are no longer one waiting to be used, but one already being used in the very act of walking. For from the moment you said, "I am ready," the door did not merely open, you had already stepped through it. My beloved, let your spirit grow still and recognize that what is taking place within you is not a chaotic stirring, but an intentional transition from me. You are standing at the intersection between what was and what is to come. And your soul has already begun to sense this shift before your mind can fully comprehend it. Not every change needs to be explained. Some must first be felt, and only later understood. And what you are experiencing is precisely that, a quiet yet powerful movement arising from the deepest place within you, where I am touching and reshaping you. As it is written, I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit within you. Ezekiel 36:26. And this renewal does not begin in circumstances, but in the depths of your soul. Do you recognize it? The way you perceive things has changed. You are no longer governed by old reflexes. The way you face people no longer carries the same weight as before. This is not you striving to change. This is you being transformed. The difference does not come from learning something new, but from removing the layers that once shaped you in a previous season. There are patterns that once helped you survive, yet they cannot carry you into where I am leading you now. And when the season shifts, what once fit will begin to feel restrictive. No one pours new wine into old wineskins. Matthew 9:17. For if they do, both will be ruined. You are not being left behind. You are being expanded. Understand this clearly. I am not only inviting you out of old structures, I am compelling you to release them. Not because I desire to take something from you, but because I know what you are holding can no longer contain what I am preparing to give. You may feel a tension, as though one part of you wants to remain in what is familiar, while another is being drawn forward. But my child, this is not imbalance. It is a sign of growth. For every time you let go of the old, you are not losing, you are making room for something greater. Remember Abraham. When I called him to leave his homeland and his family, to go to a place he had never known, I did not give him a detailed map, I gave him a promise. And he walked, not because he understood everything, but because he trusted the one who called him. As it is written, by faith Abraham obeyed when he was called to go. Hebrews 11:8. Do you see? His journey did not begin with clarity. It began with surrender. And in that surrender, he stepped into something far greater than what he had left behind. You, too, are in such a moment. The thoughts that once limited you, the fears that once held you back, the perspectives that caused you to withdraw all, are gradually losing their weight, not because you have conquered them by your own strength, but because the light within you is increasing. When the light is strong enough, darkness does not need to be forced out, it simply fades. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1:5. And that light is at work within you even now. Therefore, my beloved, do not try to hold on to what I am asking you to release. Do not cling to what is familiar simply because it feels safe. True security is not found in what you have known, but in the one who is leading you. When you let go, you will not fall, you will be lifted. When you release, you will not lose, you will receive more. And when you step out of old frameworks, you will realize that you are not leaving yourself behind. You are becoming the very person I created you to be from the beginning. Let this movement continue. Do not resist it. Do not try to understand everything before you step forward. Simply agree. Simply trust. And simply walk with me. For what I am doing is not something you can build by effort. It is something you enter through obedience. And as you walk in this way, you will see. This new reality is no longer distant, it is forming. It is growing, and it is becoming your very life. My beloved, recognize that what I am doing is not a surface adjustment, but a restoration at the deepest level. I am leading you back to the original form I ordained for you, before layers of limitation covered your soul. You are not becoming someone unfamiliar, you are being brought back to the true self I saw from the beginning. That form is not built by effort, nor sustained by striving. It is founded upon my choosing and nurtured through your obedience. As it is written, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you, Jeremiah 1:5. And what I have known about you has never changed, no matter how many layers of experience you have passed through. Understand this clearly. The position I place you in is not a title for self-exaltation, but a place where you learn to walk in deep humility. For when you truly see yourself in me, you will no longer feel the need to elevate yourself, nor fear being brought low. You will know that all you have, your ability, your understanding, your authority comes from me. Let the one who boasts, boast in the Lord, 1 Corinthians 1:31. And when your heart is rightly aligned, you will no longer walk under the pressure of becoming, but in the assurance that you have already been placed. You may feel a certain unfamiliarity in this transition, as though you are learning to live within a space you have never known before. Do not fear that feeling, for it is not a sign of misdirection, it is a sign of growth. You are shedding the layers that once enclosed you in a former season, the ways of thinking that once helped you survive, but cannot sustain you in what I am now opening. And as those layers fall away, you are not losing yourself, you are being revealed. Remember Gideon, who once saw himself as the least in his family and the weakest in his tribe. When I called him a mighty warrior, he did not believe it, because the image he held of himself did not align with what I spoke. Yet I do not speak according to present condition, I speak according to destiny. And as he began to walk in that calling, though at first with trembling, he gradually became who I had declared him to be. Do you see? Transformation does not begin when you feel sufficient. It begins when you believe what I say about you. Even before you see it fully, the Lord is with you. Mighty warrior, Judges 6:12. And that word reshaped how he saw himself. Now, I am teaching you to see from a different vantage point, not from old limitations, but from the place where I have raised you. He makes my feet like the feet of a deer. He sets me on high places. Psalm 18:33. And when you stand there, you will find that the world no longer appears the same. Not because circumstances immediately change, but because your vision has been expanded. What once frightened you will no longer carry the same weight. What once caused hesitation will no longer govern your steps. For you are no longer seeing from below, you are seeing from where I have positioned you. Let me teach you how to think from this place. No longer thinking as one who must defend, but as one who is protected. No longer acting as one who must prove, but as one who has been affirmed. No longer reacting from fear, but from a deep and abiding peace. This does not happen in a single moment, but step by step, day by day. As you remain near me, you will find your thinking renewed and your actions reshaped. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Romans 12:2. For it is there that a new reality is established and made to function. My beloved, do not return to old patterns simply because they are familiar. Do not shrink back just because you are not yet fully accustomed to this new space. You no longer belong to what was. You have been lifted up not to look down in pride, but to see more clearly, to understand more deeply, and to walk more precisely in what I have entrusted to you. And as you walk in this way, you will realize that the assurance within you is no longer shaken by circumstances. It stands firm upon what I have spoken. Therefore, stand in the place where I have positioned you. Learn to live from it, to think from it, and to act from it. Do not rush, yet do not retreat. I am with you in every step of this transition. And as you continue forward, you will no longer merely believe that you have been called. You will know that you are living within the very calling I ordained for you from the beginning. My beloved, let your heart be steadied in this understanding. What is coming upon you is not coincidence, nor the result of isolated effort, but the inevitable outworking of what I have already begun within you. There will be doors that open more quickly than you ever imagined you could step through, and opportunities that come in greater measure than you once thought you could hold. And you may feel as though you are not yet fully prepared, but I tell you, the readiness you seek is not found in perfection, but in willingness. For this is not a season where you must lift yourself up. This is a season where I place my hand upon you and propel you forward. When I act, you do not need to strive to be seen. When I make a way, you do not need to knock in order to enter. I have set before you an open door, and no one can shut it. Revelation 3:8. And that door was not opened by you. Therefore, it cannot be closed by another. This movement may feel disorienting, because its rhythm does not resemble what you have known before. But my child, do not allow surprise to become fear. When I move you forward, it is not a force that strips you of control, but a support that brings you into the place already prepared. You are not being pushed out of safety, you are being led into a greater safety, where my presence goes before you, surrounds you, and upholds every step you take. As it is written, the Lord himself goes before you and will be with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Deuteronomy 31:8. So you do not enter what is new alone. Understand this more deeply. These doors are not merely for you to experience, but for you to function within a broader realm than you have ever considered. I have not called you merely to have a peaceful life for yourself, but to become a point of intersection where life, light, and grace flow through you and touch others. When you step in, you do not carry only yourself, you carry what I have placed within you, and that will spread, not through display, but through authentic presence. Remember David. When he was still a shepherd boy, no one imagined he would stand before Goliath, or later become king. Yet when the moment came, he was not further prepared, he was placed. What he carried was not the armor of another, but what I had forged within him in hidden places, and that is what made the difference. Do you see? When I open the way, you do not need to become another version of yourself. You simply need to carry what I have already formed within you through the journey. But my beloved, the influence I am opening to you does not end in the present. It is like a stream of water, not confined to a single moment, but continuing to flow outward, seeping deep, and nourishing what you may never fully see. What you do today, as you walk in obedience, will not only touch those before you, but will establish a trajectory that reaches beyond time. The righteous shall flourish like the palm tree. They shall still bear fruit in old age. Psalm 92:12-14. For the flow that comes from me is not limited by age, circumstance, or season. It continues, expands, and multiplies. You may not yet see the full picture, and you do not need to. What I require is not that you comprehend the entire scope of your influence, but that you remain faithful in each small step as doors open. When you walk through a door, you are not merely entering a space, you are opening a pathway for what will follow. And each step, when rooted in me, forms a journey you will only fully understand when you look back. Therefore, do not withdraw when opportunities come quickly. Do not delay because of a feeling of not being enough. You will never feel completely ready in the way you imagine. True readiness is when you say yes, even without seeing everything. When you say, yes, I will do the rest. I do not ask you to carry the weight of outcomes. I simply invite you to walk in trust. My beloved, walk in peace, not because everything has been laid out clearly before you, but because the one who orders all things is with you. When I open, you step. When I lead, you follow. And as you live in this way, you will see that your influence is no longer confined to what you can control. It becomes a living current, flowing through your life, touching others, and continuing through generations you may never meet. Yet I have long ordained, my beloved, let your heart recognize that the change taking place within you is not something you have created, but the imprint of my hand touching the depths of your soul. When you notice your thoughts becoming clearer, no longer tangled as before, when your mind stands firmer before what once unsettled you, when your steps are no longer hesitant but carry an unfamiliar decisiveness, do not assume this is the result of personal effort. This is the moment when the eyes of your heart are being opened to see what I have been doing. As it is written, the eyes of your understanding being enlightened, that you may know what is the hope of his calling. Ephesians 1:18. And that illumination is not only for understanding, but for walking with precision. You are no longer in the state of groping as before. You are being brought into the position of one who sees not with natural sight, but with inward discernment. This allows you to act at the right time, no longer driven by fleeting emotion or undefined fear. For when my light shines, what was once dim becomes clear, and what once caused hesitation loses its weight. The path of the righteous is like the light of dawn, shining ever brighter until the full day. Proverbs 4:18. And you are walking in the increase of that light step by step, yet with certainty. Therefore, my beloved, stand upright within your spirit. Take a deep breath, not only with your body, but with the awareness that you are stepping into a moment that has been ordained. This is not a day like any other. This is a marker, a point of transition from which the current of your life will no longer be the same. I am placing a new imprint upon your journey, one that cannot be erased by circumstance, nor reversed by human hands. Understand this clearly. The season you are entering is no longer one of passive waiting. The days when you simply stood still and wondered when things would come have passed. This is a season of operation, a place where you do not only receive, but begin to release what I have placed within you. What was prepared in hiddenness will now begin to be revealed, not for display, but so that what belongs to me within you may be seen through your life. Let your light shine before others. Matthew 5:16. For light is not created to be hidden, but to illuminate. Do not misunderstand this. This is not a season for you to strive to present yourself. It is a season for you to allow what I have placed within you to flow, not through pressure, but through the natural movement of a life that has been opened. You do not need to force yourself to become. You only need not to hinder what is already seeking to move through you. And as you live in this way, you will find that your actions are no longer burdensome, but become light, yet filled with power. Remember Peter, who once wavered in fear, yet when the Spirit came upon him, he stood and spoke with a boldness he had never known. What changed was not his surroundings, but what occurred within him. From that moment, he was no longer reacting in fear, but acting in conviction. Do you see? When the time comes, the inward transformation reveals itself outwardly, and you will walk as one who has been entrusted with authority. Therefore, my beloved, receive this word as confirmation. Your time has come. Not that it will come, it has come. Not in some distant future, but now. I am not continuing to prepare you, I am leading you into it. And as you step in, you will realize that you are no longer standing at the edge of what I am doing, you are at the very center of it. Keep your heart steady in peace. For what I have begun, I will also complete. Do not return to former hesitation. Do not retreat because of thoughts that once limited you. You have already crossed that threshold. Now walk as one who knows they are in the right time, the right place, and the right current I have ordained. And in every step you take, you will not only witness change, you will become the very change I am bringing. My beloved, understand that what I am doing within you does not stop at lifting you up or opening opportunities before you. What I pursue more deeply is to build within you a foundation strong enough to sustain what I give, so that you may not only touch it, but remain and function within it with endurance. Many can step into something great, but not all can remain in it with stability. I do not desire for you to merely experience moments of elevation only to fall again because of a lack of foundation. I am building you to stand firm, so that you will not be shaken when pressure increases. As it is written, the wise man built his house upon the rock. The rain descended, the floods came, and the winds blew, yet it did not fall. Matthew 7:24-25. And you are being established upon that very foundation, not by what you see, but by what I am quietly forming within you. Therefore, do not rush after everything that appears before you. Not every open door requires you to step in immediately, as you might assume. What matters is not the speed of your movement, but the alignment between your steps and my rhythm. There are times I open something for you to see, but not yet for you to enter. There are moments I allow opportunity to draw near, yet the purpose is to teach you how to wait, how to discern, how not to be drawn by outward appearance. To everything there is a season, a time to be silent and a time to speak. Ecclesiastes 3:1. And wisdom is not found in constant action, but in knowing when to act. I am teaching you something that cannot be learned through intellect alone, the rhythm of my leading. That rhythm is not loud, nor driven by pressure, but it is clear to a soul that listens. When you are in that rhythm, you will know when to move forward without hesitation, and when to remain still without fear of missing out. You will know when your voice must rise like light, and when your silence carries greater weight. This is not a strategy you acquire, it is a life you receive as you remain near me. Remember David, even after he was anointed king, he did not immediately seize the throne. He waited, he listened, and on multiple occasions when favorable opportunities arose to end Saul's life, he chose not to act in haste. He understood that not every opportunity is permission. That restraint preserved the integrity of his heart. And when the true moment came, he stepped in, not by grasping, but by my confirmation. Do you see? Strength is not merely the ability to act, but the wisdom to know when to act. My beloved, when you learn this rhythm, you will no longer be driven by circumstances. What happens around you will no longer dictate your response. Instead, my presence within you will become your center. And from that place, you will begin to shape your environment, You will no longer be carried by the current, you will become one who directs it, not by outward force, but by inward stability. Do not fear slowing down to learn this. The world may pressure you to move faster, to grasp, to seize every opportunity, but I do not operate under such urgency. I move in fullness, and when you walk with me, you will not miss anything that belongs to you. The blessing of the Lord makes rich, and he adds no sorrow with it. Proverbs 10:22. And what I lead you into will not require you to trade your peace to keep it. Therefore, my beloved, allow me to continue teaching you. Choose listening over reacting. Choose remaining in my presence over chasing opportunities. And when you step forward, step from the place where you know I am leading. For when you walk in my rhythm, you will not only walk correctly, you will walk securely. And that steadiness will become the mark of your life, not just for a season, but for the entire journey ahead. My beloved, let your heart rest in this truth. The moments when you feel you are slowing down are not signs that you are being left behind, but evidence that I am adjusting your pace to align with the appointed time. There may be times when you look around and see others moving quickly while you seem held back. But I tell you, you are not slow. You are moving in the exact rhythm I have set. For I do not measure your journey by speed, but by precision. He has made everything beautiful in its time. Ecclesiastes 3:11. And that beauty is not found in arriving early or late, but in arriving at the right time. When you understand this, you will no longer struggle against the process, no longer attempt to accelerate what I am allowing to unfold slowly, but will begin to flow with the current I am leading. There are seasons when you may feel as though you are being pulled backward. What you have built seems paused. The positions you once held are no longer the same. Opportunities that seemed within reach suddenly close. But my child, see with my eyes. This is not retreat, it is depth. I am not removing you from where you stood to diminish you, but to lead you into a deeper layer you have not yet touched. For there are things that cannot be built on the surface. There are heights that cannot be sustained without a corresponding depth. He shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water. Its leaf also shall not wither. Psalm 1:3. And you can only stand firm in strong winds when your roots have gone deep into the source of life. Remember Joseph, when he seemed to be moving towards stability in Potiphar's house. Everything collapsed, and he was cast into prison. To human eyes, it was a step backward, but within my design, it was a step deeper into the place I was preparing for him. In that prison, I taught him discernment, patience, and faithfulness that did not depend on circumstance. And when the time came, he was not only brought out of prison, he was lifted into a position where he could carry great responsibility without breaking. Do you see where you perceive loss? I am laying a foundation where you perceive stillness. I am reinforcing you. My beloved, do not rush to rise high when your roots have not yet grown deep. Do not force yourself forward when I am inviting you downward into deeper formation. For if you seek outward expression without inward foundation, you will not sustain what you receive. But when I build you from within, when I deepen your roots into my presence, you will become steadfast, not only in a moment, but in every season. Allow me to teach you to love this process rather than resist it. For every time you feel held back, I am adding weight to your stability. Every time you are drawn out of what is familiar, I am expanding your capacity to hold more. And every time you feel as though you are not progressing, it may be that you are advancing in the deepest way, one your eyes cannot yet see. But your soul is already being transformed. Therefore, my beloved, release your old measures. Do not compare your pace with others. You are not running in their race. You are walking within the journey I have uniquely designed for you. And within that journey, Every step, whether it appears fast or slow in your eyes, is leading you precisely to the place I have ordained. Hold fast to this. I am not building you for what is temporary. I am not preparing you for fleeting achievements. I am forming you for things of weight, things that can endure through time, through testing, through every shifting season. And when you stand within that, you will realize that every moment you thought was a delay, every step you thought was a retreat, has been part of a greater work I am completing within you, my beloved. As your soul begins to understand the process I am leading you through, you will come to see something clearly. The fear of time no longer has authority over you. You will no longer ask whether you are moving quickly or slowly, for that question will lose its relevance. When you know you are in the right place, walking in the right rhythm, speed becomes meaningless. What matters is not arriving before others, but arriving at the moment I have appointed. And when you hold this truth, your heart will be freed from the pressure to compete, from the fear of missing out. Whatever God does, it shall be forever. Nothing can be added to it, nor anything taken from it. Ecclesiastes 3:14. And what I have for you cannot be taken away by any circumstance. Let this truth settle deeply within you. For when you truly believe that nothing meant for you can be stolen, you will no longer live in a defensive posture. You will not rush to grasp every opportunity out of fear of loss, nor will you be anxious when a door temporarily closes. Instead, you will walk in a peace the world cannot understand, a peace not rooted in what you see, but in the one you trust. And in that peace, you will act no longer from fear, but from conviction. My beloved, I am not merely encouraging you, I am restructuring your way of thinking. What I am doing goes beyond making you feel better. It is transforming how you perceive, how you understand, and how you respond to everything around you. You are no longer thinking as one who navigates in darkness, but as one who has been brought into light. My thoughts are not your thoughts, nor are your ways my ways. Isaiah 55:8. And as your thinking is lifted into alignment with mine, you will find that what once confused you no longer has power over you. When your perspective changes, the world around you seems to change as well. Not because circumstances immediately shift, but because you no longer view them from the same place. External turbulence will no longer carry you along, for within you there is now a firm foundation. You will discern what is truly happening, not merely by what your eyes see, but by what I am establishing within the depths of your soul. And in that knowing, you will no longer react impulsively. You will respond with calmness, clarity, and certainty. Remember David when he stood before Goliath. Those around him saw an unbeatable giant, but David saw from a different vantage the perspective of one who knew I was with him. That perspective shaped his action. He was not governed by collective fear, but moved according to inward understanding. Do you see? When thinking is elevated, action changes, and so do the outcomes. Therefore, my beloved, walk with a new boldness, not because you have control over every variable in your journey, but because you know the one who leads, you never errs. Your boldness does not come from confidence in yourself, but from trust in me. And as you walk in that trust, you will no longer fear missteps. For even when you do not see clearly, I am guiding you in every detail. Stand firm in the understanding that every stage you pass through carries its own value. No step is wasted. No experience is without purpose, even what you do not yet understand. I am using to build you. All things work together for good to those who love God. Romans 8:28. And this is not merely a comfort for difficult times. It is a principle upon which you can anchor your entire life. When you live in this awareness, You will no longer divide your journey into good or bad, success or failure. You will begin to see everything as part of a greater whole I am weaving, and as you see in this way, your heart will be kept in peace. Your steps will be held in steadiness, and your life will become a living testimony of my guidance, a journey not perfect in human eyes, but complete within the eternal design I established for you from the beginning. My beloved, let your soul stand firm in the solemnity of this moment, like one who has just been called by name into a reality beyond what the eyes can see. What I am placing upon you is no longer a word of comfort meant to soothe, but a true establishment, a confirmation of the position I have ordained for you from the beginning. This is not a fleeting emotion that fades, but a quiet and certain transfer, originating in the unseen and now unfolding within your life. I am not only drawing you near, I am marking you, placing upon you a seal, like a crown unseen by natural sight, yet carrying real weight. You have crowned him with glory and honor, Psalm 8:5. And this is not an empty symbol, but a reality you are being brought into. Understand this clearly. My beloved, this season is no longer a place where you are learning to believe as before. Those lessons you have already walked through, not in theory, but in days when you did not understand and yet continued forward. In nights when you faced silence without clear answers, I have used the trials you once wished to avoid to shape you, the isolation you once feared to deepen your soul, and the fire of difficult circumstances to refine what needed to be purified. You, O God, have tested us. You have refined us as silver is refined, Psalm 66:10. And not a single moment in that journey was wasted. All of it was preparation, not for something small, but for this very hour, when you are able to carry what you once did not have the strength to hold. Now, I am not only teaching you, I am entrusting you. What I place into your hands does not come from natural ability, nor from what you have accumulated through experience. This is authority given from me, written within the council of heaven, secured in covenant, and opened at the precise moment in which you now stand. I have given you authority over all the power of the enemy, Luke 10:19. And this authority is not for self-exaltation, but for the execution of what I have ordained, for you to become a vessel through which my will is made manifest. But my beloved, keep your heart in deep humility, for the more you recognize what you carry, the more you must understand that its source is not from you. True authority does not elevate your pride. It heightens your awareness of dependence upon me. And it is in that dependence that you will function rightly. If you attempt to use what I have given as a means to prove yourself, you will disrupt its flow. But if you keep your heart soft and yielded, you will see that authority move through you naturally, like a stream flowing unhindered. Remember Esther, who was placed in the position of queen not to enjoy safety, but to rise at the appointed time and alter the fate of an entire people. She did not arrive at that position in a single day. I led her through a process of preparation, through hidden seasons, before the decisive moment came. And when that moment arrived, she was no longer hesitant. She understood the position she held and acted accordingly. Do you see? The position I place you in is not merely a privilege, it is a responsibility. Therefore, my beloved, do not take lightly what I am entrusting to you. Do not assume that you are still in the place you once were, still waiting for another sign. The sign is already within you, the shift in your perception, the steadiness in your mind, the clarity within your spirit. You are no longer standing outside looking in. You have been brought within, into the very flow of what I am doing. Stand in that place without fear, without hesitation, not because you understand everything, but because you know the one who has placed you there. And as you walk from this place of knowing, You will see that what was once a promise is becoming reality. What was once preparation is becoming operation. You are no longer at the threshold you have already stepped through. And from here, every step you take will not merely be your own action, but the expression of me through your life. My beloved, engrave this deeply within your heart. You do not step into the reality I am opening as one who is still learning, still groping for direction. You step in as one who has been confirmed, as one who was named before you understood your journey. I am no longer placing you in trials to see whether you can. I have seen you. I have chosen you, and my decision does not change. The gifts and the calling of God are irrevocable, Romans 11:29. And this means your readiness does not rest upon fluctuating feelings within you, but upon my steadfast choosing. Therefore, do not allow the voices of doubt to pull you back into what was. Do not let the memory of past failures convince you that you are not enough. Those things are no longer your measure. You are no longer defined by what you have been through, but by what I have established within you. When I have spoken, it stands firmer than any emotion. When I have chosen, no circumstance can overturn it. Remember David, the son of Jesse. When I sent Samuel, the whole household looked toward those who were older, stronger, and outwardly more qualified. But I do not see as man sees. I do not choose based on outward appearance, but on what I have placed within. When the oil was poured upon David's head, no throne appeared at once. No visible change took place in his circumstances. Yet in the unseen realm, an authority was established. Man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart, 1 Samuel 16:7. And what I see determines what I do. So it is with you, my beloved. Those around you may not yet recognize what I have placed upon you. Your outward circumstances may not immediately reflect the inward shift, but that does not diminish the reality of what has already been established. I do not require human recognition to confirm what I have set in place. When I seal something upon you, it stands independent of how the world perceives it. From that establishment, I send you forth not for you to strive to create influence, nor to prove anything. You do not need to produce light. You only need not to conceal it. You are the light of the world, Matthew 5:14. And light does not struggle to shine. It shines by its nature. As you enter a place, you will begin to notice that things shift not because you force them, but because what you carry is at work. Remember Philip when he was led to the Ethiopian eunuch. He did not orchestrate that encounter, nor did he manufacture an opportunity. He simply followed the leading. And in that moment, a life was touched and a path was opened. Do you see? True influence does not come from control. It comes from being where I place you. At the time I lead you there, my beloved, do not strive to become what you have already been called. Do not turn your calling into a burden. You do not need to attain it. You need to live within it. When you understand this, you will cease striving to produce outcomes and begin to allow my flow to move through you naturally. And in that naturalness, true impact will occur deep, enduring, and far beyond what you could create on your own. Therefore, walk with a deep assurance, not because you are perfect, but because you are chosen. Not because you understand everything, but because you walk with the one who understands all things. And as you continue in this way, you will see that what I have established within you is not merely a word, it becomes a living reality, revealed through every step you take, every place you enter, and every life you touch. My beloved, recognize that what I am opening within you is not merely a new ability, but a living current, a reception no longer limited by natural reasoning or old patterns of analysis. Before, you had to strive to understand, to reason, to search for answers. But now, I am bringing you into a different state, one where you perceive not by effort, but by illumination. If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, and it will be given to him. James 1:5. Yet you are no longer standing merely in the place of asking. You are beginning to live within the very flow of that giving. This means that understanding will come to you like a stream, flowing naturally, without obstruction or delay, as you remain connected to me. At the same time, I am placing into your hands an authority you once only dared to observe from a distance. Not an authority for you to force your own way forward, but one that allows you to step into what I have already opened. The doors that once caused you to hesitate, that once stirred doubt within you, will no longer stand as barriers. I have set before you an open door, and no one can shut it. Revelation 3:8. And when you understand this, you will no longer stand before the door in hesitation. You will not knock in uncertainty. You will enter with the knowing that I have gone before you, prepared the way, and am waiting for you there. But my beloved, I do not stop at bringing you in. I entrust you with the capacity to build a capacity not only to sustain what exists, but to bring forth what has never yet existed. You will find yourself led into barren places, forgotten spaces, and lives that seem without hope. And in those places, you will not merely remain, you will sow life. They shall rebuild the ancient ruins, Isaiah 61:4. And through you, what once seemed finished will begin again. This does not come from your own strength, but from the living flow I have placed within you, a current that does not run dry. Remember Nehemiah. When he saw Jerusalem in ruins, he did not merely mourn, he rose up and rebuilt. Yet he did not do so by his own strength. I placed within him a vision, a conviction, and a clear direction. And even in the face of opposition, he continued, because he knew that what he was doing was not his own initiative, but what I had begun. Do you see? Building is not a random act, it is a response to something that has been placed within the soul. Along with this, I place within you a stream of influence, but not the kind that depends on personal appeal or effort to gain attention. This is influence that flows from my presence within you. When you step into an environment, you will sense the atmosphere shift, not because you strive to create change, but because you carry what is of heaven. The kingdom of God is righteousness and peace and joy in the Holy Spirit. Romans 14:17. And as you live within that, you become a place where these realities are naturally expressed. My beloved, understand that these are not separate elements. They are one continuous flow. Revelation leads you. Authority opens the way before you. The capacity to build operates through you, and influence flows outward from you. When you remain in me, all of these become one, unforced, undivided. And as you walk in this flow, you will no longer live as one striving to attain something, but as one functioning within what has already been given. Therefore, do not shrink back. Do not return to the former way of living, where you strain to understand, to open, to create, to influence. You have been brought into a different reality, a reality where I am the source, and you are the flow. Remain there, trust, and walk. For as you walk, you will see that what I have placed within you is no longer potential. It is becoming a living reality through your life. My beloved, engrave this deeply within your heart. What I have given you is not a random distribution, nor a temporary reward tied to a passing emotional season. Everything you are receiving has passed through a process I have carefully led. I have taken you through seasons where your words were restrained, where you learned to be silent even when your heart wanted to speak, where you came to understand that not everything felt must be expressed, In that restraint, I was shaping you so that your words would no longer flow from inner turbulence, but from alignment with me. In the multitude of words, sin is not lacking, but he who restrains his lips is wise. Proverbs 10:19. And that restraint has not weakened you, it has given your words weight. In this season, when you speak, you will no longer speak to release emotion, but to express what I have placed within you, and every such word will carry the weight of life, because it is no longer merely your word. Understand this, my beloved, I trust you, not because you have reached perfection, but because you have learned the most essential thing to remain in my hands. You have learned not to react hastily, not to let emotion govern your decisions, not to allow circumstances to shape your voice. It is this maturity that has opened the way for power to operate through you. For true authority is not entrusted to one who lacks restraint, but to one who has learned obedience in the small things. And now, I am opening to you another level of operation, a reality no longer bound by what you have previously experienced. In this new reality, you are no longer led by your past. The wounds that once shaped how you viewed the world will no longer serve as the foundation of your decisions. The fears that once caused you to hesitate will no longer act as your compass. The assumptions that once limited your vision will no longer define the framework in which you live. I am removing each of those layers not to leave you empty, but to rebuild you upon truth. The righteous shall live by faith, Romans 1:17. And that faith is not a fragile emotion, but a way of living, a state in which you act according to what I have spoken, not according to what you once felt. As you begin to function within this reality, you will notice a different current carrying you. You will no longer feel dragged forward by exhaustion as before, no longer straining to advance step by step. Instead, you will sense a propulsion from within, an anointing that moves you forward naturally, without force. Your steps will no longer feel scattered or divided by conflicting thoughts. They will begin to align, synchronized with the purpose I established long ago. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and he shall direct your paths. Proverbs 3:5-6. And when your path is aligned by me, you will no longer feel lost. Remember Jeremiah, who once said he was too young, unable to speak, unqualified to carry the message. Yet I touched his mouth and said, I have put my words in your mouth, Jeremiah 1-9. From that moment, his words were no longer his own, they became my instrument. Do you see? The power of a word does not come from personal confidence, but from alignment with its source. And you are being brought into that same reality, where your words are no longer reactions, but expression. Therefore, my beloved, do not return to former ways of operating. Do not allow memories of exhaustion or past moments of confusion to convince you that this journey will be the same. You are no longer in the same place. You have been lifted into another level, where the current no longer pulls you downward, but carries you upward. Allow yourself to be led in the ease of my anointing, rather than the pressure of personal striving. Walk in this assurance. You no longer live as one reacting to life, but as one partnering with me in shaping it. Every step you take, every word you speak, every decision you make, these will begin to reflect a new reality that has already been established within you. And as you continue in that unity, you will see that your journey is no longer a series of disconnected efforts, but a continuous flow of life, of purpose, and of power that comes from me. My beloved, stand firm in this knowing you are not beginning again as one who knows nothing, but stepping into a new level of operation as one who has completed a deeply formed process. What you have walked through days of silence, seasons of testing, moments that felt like delay, were not meant to exhaust you, but to prepare you for this very time. You are no longer an apprentice standing outside observing. You have been brought within, entrusted, and positioned within the current I established beforehand. Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a few things. I will make you ruler over many. Matthew 25:21. And your hidden faithfulness has opened the door to this present confirmation. Therefore, my beloved, walk with your head held high, not in pride, but in the steadiness that comes from knowing you do not need to prove what I have already established. You only need to agree with it and walk within it. When you speak, your words will no longer be scattered sounds, but will carry life. When you act, the results will not come from mere effort, but from the flow of alignment, and your very life, through each step you take, will become living evidence that I do not merely speak. I fulfill what I have spoken through you. The Lord will perfect that which concerns me. Psalm 138:8. And you are the place where that fulfillment is made visible. But my beloved, keep your heart open, like a door no longer locked. What I am doing does not end with entrusting authority. I am leading you into a deeper understanding of how that authority functions. You have been touched by the fire of the Word. Yet I do not intend for that fire to flare up and fade like passing emotion. I am teaching you how it is to burn steadily with direction, with purpose. Is not my word like fire and like a hammer that breaks the rock in pieces? Jeremiah 23:29. And that fire is not given to consume without purpose, but to transform, to break what must be broken, and to bring life wherever I send you. Therefore, you no longer speak from impulse or reaction. You speak from connection. You speak from the place where you have been touched and held in alignment with me. This requires you to keep your heart in deep humility, for power is not found in the volume of your words, nor in the intensity of your expression, but in the source from which your words arise. If they flow from the self, they will quickly be exhausted. But if they flow from union with me, they will carry a life that does not fade. Remember Moses, when, in a moment of frustration, he struck the rock instead of speaking to it as I had instructed. That action came from reaction, not from alignment, and it altered the flow I had intended. Do you see? Even one entrusted with authority must keep their heart in the right place. Power does not exempt you from obedience. It calls you into deeper nearness with me. My beloved, I am teaching you not only how to function, but how to sustain, not only how to enter, but how to remain, not only how to speak, but how to keep your words anchored in the source of life. When you learn this, you will not be shaken by circumstances, nor carried away by fleeting emotion. You will become a steady stream where life flows continuously, without interruption, without deviation. So, remain close to me. Keep your heart soft. Keep your ears attentive. And when you step forward, step from that place of connection. For as you live in this way, the fire within you will not only burn, it will illuminate. It will warm. And it will transform every place you pass through. And in all of this, you will come to understand the authority you carry is not something you possess, but something entrusted to you to steward in union with me. Beloved child, let your heart become still in this moment, because what I am placing before your eyes is not an abstract concept, but a reality that is operating quietly yet powerfully within your very life. There are things you cannot see with your natural eyes, yet they are moving more forcefully than anything you have ever been able to grasp. As it is written, out of his heart will flow rivers of living water, John 7:38. And that flow is not limited by circumstance, nor is it hindered by what you call a dead end. It is life flowing from me, passing through the driest places to make all things new. You once thought you were standing still, once believed that your steps were creating no visible change. But you did not know that in that very waiting, I was adjusting the flow. Not every movement must be loud. Not every change must be seen immediately. There are seasons I hold back so you do not step in at the wrong time. And there are doors I close not to reject you, but to protect you from what does not yet belong to you. As the word has been written, to everything there is a season, and a time for every purpose under heaven. Ecclesiastes 3:1. And now, you are standing in the moment when the things that once delayed you no longer have authority, because the living water has begun to find its way and pour forth. Understand this deeply. My child, when I initiate a turning, it is unlike any change you have ever known. It does not come from your effort, nor is it the result of calculation or natural preparation. It is heaven's intervention in the flow of your life. What once pulled you off course will be dismantled, and the burdens that once slowed you down will fall away without you needing to wrestle against them. As it is written, my yoke is easy, and my burden is light. Matthew 11:30. You will no longer have to strain yourself in order to move forward, because the living water itself will carry you. I want you to remember Ezekiel when he was led to the riverbank in the vision. At first, the water reached only his ankles. Then it rose to his knees, then to his waist, and finally it became water too deep to cross a river that required him to surrender himself and let the current carry him. Ezekiel 47. Do you see? The journey with me is not about you controlling everything, but about learning to trust when the waters rise. And wherever that water flows, life awakens, trees become green and fruitful, dry ground becomes fertile, and even places that seem dead are brought back to life. You are stepping into that very river. You may not yet recognize it fully, but you will begin to feel it, a lightness you did not have before, a clarity you could not create on your own, a steadiness that does not come from circumstances. This is not you becoming stronger in the way the world understands strength. It is you being carried by a power greater than yourself. As it is written, not by might, nor by power, but by my Spirit. Zechariah 4-6. And then, you will see things that were once closed begin to open without you having to knock as you did before. Opportunities that once seemed distant will draw near naturally. Connections, pathways, doors, all of them will respond to the presence of the living water within you, not because you have struggled to become enough, but because the appointed time has now matured. I ordained this season for you, and when the season arrives, no one can prevent the blooming. Do not return to the old pattern of worry or the effort to control, for when you try to hold on, you will miss what I desire to give. Learn to surrender yourself in trust. Let that current carry you, even when you do not fully understand where it is leading. As it is written, trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. Proverbs 3-5. For the place I am leading you to is not a place you could discover by reason alone. You may be surprised to find yourself walking more lightly through circumstances that once drained you. You may wonder why the things that once confused and troubled you no longer affect you as strongly as before. This is not because you have become numb. It is because you are being placed into a higher flow, where lower things no longer have authority. And remember this, my child, when I decide to let the living water flow through your life, no force can block it. No circumstance is strong enough to make it run dry. No door is firm enough to keep it from opening. For this is not your water, it is mine. As it is written, if God is for us, who can be against us? Romans 8:31. Therefore, beloved child, stand firm, not in tension, but in deep rest. Open your heart not to search for more, but to receive what has already been given. Walk forward not by striving, but by harmony with the current that is carrying you ahead. For I am doing a new thing within you. This is not merely the repair of what is old, but the opening of an entirely different dimension. And from this point forward, you will no longer walk as one limited by what has passed, but as one being led by a stream of life that never runs dry. Beloved child, before you seek an outward sign, turn toward the deepest place within yourself, because every true beginning is born from within. What I am doing does not begin with doors opening before your eyes, but with my touch upon the ground you once thought had no hope left. The flow of my life does not pour into you from the outside like a passing rain. It is stirred up from within your own heart, then quietly spreads outward like a river no one can stop. As it is written, "Whoever believes in me, out of his heart will flow rivers of living water." John 7:38. And you are not a place of silent containment, but a source from which life flows forth. There are parts within you that have grown hardened, though even you may no longer recognize them. The long days of waiting, the moments of hoping and then being disappointed, the words you concluded about yourself, all of these left quiet fractures deep inside you. But I have not come to condemn those places. I have come to water them, not with pressure, but with presence. And when my living water touches them, it does not break you apart, it softens you again deeply, gently, yet irresistibly. As it is written, I will give you a new heart, and a new spirit I will put within you. I will remove the heart of stone from your flesh and give you a heart of flesh. Ezekiel 36:26. You will not need to force yourself to change, because the life within you is quietly doing that work. Remember the vision I gave to Ezekiel when he stood in the valley full of dry bones. There was no sign of life, no hope, according to the natural eye. Yet when my breath was spoken forth, those dry bones began to tremble, come together, be covered, and finally stand up as a living army. Ezekiel 37. Do you see? True change does not begin with what still appears alive, but with the places that seemed already dead. And in the very place where you once felt most empty, I am breathing my breath into you. When the living water begins to move within you, the knots you did not know how to untie will begin to loosen on their own. The thoughts that once felt tangled will gradually become clear. The emotions that once weighed heavily upon you will no longer rule over you as they did before. Not because you have learned to control them better, but because something greater is operating within you. As it is written, the peace of God will guard your hearts and your minds. Philippians 4:7. This is not an outward stillness, but an inward steadiness that enables you to discern clearly what comes from me and what does not. You will recognize a subtle yet undeniable change. You will no longer have to struggle to fix yourself. You will no longer be swept into the old cycles of thoughts and emotions. There is a current lifting you quietly, yet irresistibly. The things that once held you back will gradually lose their weight, like mud being washed away beneath a strong flowing stream. And you will ask yourself, why do I feel lighter? Why do I feel clearer? Why do I no longer react as I once did? It is because you are no longer operating from yourself, but from my life within you. I want you to understand this deeply. The first sign of a turning is not found in your circumstances, but in your inner being. When the inside of you begins to become flexible, the outside cannot remain still. When your heart is watered, your life will begin to open and bloom. As it is written, he shall be like a tree planted by streams of water, its leaf does not wither. And in all that he does, he prospers. Psalm 1:3. You do not need to chase after outward change, because when you are rightly positioned within the inward flow, everything outside will begin to align accordingly. Therefore, beloved child, Do not rush to look for great outward signs while overlooking what I am doing within your heart. Treasure the quiet changes, a new peace, a new tenderness, a new clarity. These are not small things. They are evidence that the living water has begun to flow. And once that flow has begun, nothing can reverse it. It will continue to expand, continue to lift you, continue to lead you into places you never thought you would reach. But remember, it all begins here from within you. Remain in that flow, my child, and let me do the rest. Beloved child, before you look toward outward movements, return to the most hidden place of your heart, because everything I do begins there. No true flow of life begins from external circumstances and then moves inward. Rather, it is from the place where I have placed life within you that all things pour forth. As it is written, keep your heart with all vigilance, for from it flow the springs of life. Proverbs 4:23. Therefore, what I am carrying out is not first the changing of the circumstances before your eyes, but the opening of a wellspring within you, a wellspring which, once awakened, will spread into every area of your life. There are places within your heart that once became hardened, not because you wanted them to be that way, but because of the long days when you waited in silence, the times when you hoped and then saw everything appear unchanged, and even the thoughts you attached to yourself as though they were definitions that could never be erased. But my child, I do not see you through those fractures. I see the ground that still has the capacity to bring forth life, and when my water touches it, it does not come like a flood that sweeps everything away, but like a stream that seeps deeply into the soil quietly, yet unstoppably. As it is written, I will pour water on the thirsty land, and streams on the dry ground. Isaiah 44:3. You will not need to force yourself to become tender again. My very presence will do that within you. Remember the image I revealed through the prophet Ezekiel, when he was led to a place filled with dry bones, a scene with no sign of life, no hope, according to natural understanding. Yet when my word was spoken forth and my breath was given, those bones began to move, come together, be covered with flesh, and rise as a living army. Ezekiel 37. Do you see? I do not need favorable conditions in order to create life. I need only a place willing to receive my breath. And your inner being, though it once became dry, is now becoming the very place where I act. When the living water begins to move, you will recognize something wondrous. The things that once confused you will gradually become clear. The emotions that once weighed heavily upon you will no longer press you down as they did before. Not because you have learned to control them better, but because a deeper peace is covering you from within. As it is written, the peace of God will guard your hearts and your minds. Philippians 4:7. This is a peace that does not depend on circumstances, but flows from my very presence dwelling within you. The knots you once tried to untie in your own strength will slowly be loosened without you needing to wrestle. The shadows within your emotions will dissolve like mist before the morning light. The burdens in your soul will be carried away like mud, swept along by a strong flowing stream. And then you will realize you no longer have to repair yourself. The life within you is doing that work. As it is written, the Lord will fulfill his purpose for me. Psalm 138:8. What you could not do, I am completing within you. There will come a time when you realize that you are thinking differently, responding differently, seeing differently, not because you have forced yourself to change, but because you have been placed into another current, a current that lifts you up, carries you out of the old layers of heaviness, and leads you into a new dimension of clarity and freedom. As it is written, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. 2 Corinthians 3:17. And you will know that this does not come from you, but from me working within you. Understand this clearly. My child, the first sign of a turning is not an outward door opening, but the inner heart becoming tender and flexible. When the inside of you is watered, the outside cannot remain still. When the source of life within you is awakened, circumstances will begin to respond. As it is written, he shall be like a tree planted by streams of water in all that he does. He prospers, Psalm 1:3, not because you are chasing change, but because you are standing in the right place where the water flows. Therefore, beloved child, do not make light of the quiet movements within your heart. Do not think that because you have not yet seen something great on the outside, nothing is happening. The very moment you begin to feel a deeper peace, a new lightness, a clarity gradually opening, this is when the living water is flowing most powerfully. I am renewing you from within, and that is the irreversible beginning of a new season. Once your inner being has been touched, everything else is only a matter of timing. Believe this, my child, and simply let that water continue to flow. Beloved child, recognize this in the depths of your soul. The life I have placed within you does not stop at nourishing you, but is also released to flow through you, touching the lands where you stand and reestablishing order according to my purpose. You are not the ending place of the flow, you are its channel. And when that water moves, it does not only renew what is inside you, but quietly reshapes everything around you. As it is written, whoever believes in me, out of his heart will flow rivers of living water, John 7:38. And when that flow pours forth, it carries the power to transform the environment not loudly, yet unstoppably. Imagine a river changing its course. Not only does the water move in a new direction, but the land along both banks must also adjust. What once seemed fixed will be shifted. What no longer belongs will be carried away, and new ground will be formed. This is exactly what I am doing in your life. It is not that you are striving to adjust everything around you. Rather, the life flowing within you is naturally restructuring your environment. As it is written, behold, I am doing a new thing. I will make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. Isaiah 43:19. You are stepping into that very movement. The connections that once clung to you but no longer bring life will not require you to cut them off by your own strength. As the flow grows stronger, they will fall away on their own, like dry branches unable to remain attached to a living tree. At the same time, the people appointed to walk with you in this season will be drawn near, not by your arrangement, but by the spiritual pull released from the life operating within you. As it is written, can two walk together unless they are agreed? Amos 3:3. Alignment will become clear, and what is out of harmony will no longer have a place. You will see that doors once tightly closed are no longer as heavy as before, not because you have found a way to open them, but because the timing has changed and the current is pushing them open. Places that were once tangled will gradually be set in order, because life does not tolerate disorder for long. As it is written, God is not a God of confusion, but of peace. 1 Corinthians 14:33. When my presence goes with you, order will be established without you needing to force it. Remember the moment when the priests carried the Ark of the Covenant toward the bank of the Jordan River. The waters were still flowing strongly, with no visible sign of stopping. But the moment their feet touched the water, the river immediately stood still, opening a path for all the people to cross on dry ground. Joshua 3. Do you see? They did nothing to change the waters by their own power. The very presence of me with them caused the environment to respond. And in the same way, when you carry my life within you, the places where you step cannot remain in their old condition. You will begin to recognize something that may surprise you. You are no longer the one who must adapt to the environment as before. The environment is beginning to adjust around you. Not because you have become great according to the world's understanding, but because you are carrying something greater than yourself. As it is written, "He who is in you is greater than he who is in the world." 1 John 4:4. That presence cannot be ignored. It creates influence, whether you strive for it or not. I want you to understand clearly, this is not coincidence, nor is it the result of a random chain of events. This is intentional arrangement. I'm expanding your sphere of influence in a way that does not require you to fight in order to obtain it. When the environment around you begins to change, when what no longer fits begins to depart, when new things draw near, when order is established, that is a sign that I am preparing the way for you to step into what I appointed beforehand. Therefore, beloved child, do not be troubled when you see shifts taking place around you. Do not try to hold on to what is being released. Do not doubt when new things come near that you do not yet fully understand. Remain in the flow. Trust that I know exactly where I am leading you. As it is written, I will go before you and make the rough places smooth. Isaiah 45:2. You do not need to force yourself to change the world around you. You only need to abide in me and let the living water continue to flow. For once that flow has been released, every land where you set your feet will no longer be able to remain as it was. Walk in that awareness, my child, and you will see I am preparing the way for you, step by step. Beloved child, listen deeply within your soul, because there are moments, unlike any other moments, when I choose a person, touch them with the flow of my life, and place them into the exact time appointed beforehand. This is not an accident, but the intersection of divine will in your life. And now, you are stepping into that very moment. As it is written, He has made everything beautiful in its time. Ecclesiastes 3:11. And you are no longer outside the timing, you are inside your hour. When the living water operates within your mission, it does not merely make you stronger in the way you once understood strength, it propels you forward clearly, decisively, without hesitation. You will no longer stand there wondering what you must do, because the very life within you will become movement. Ideas will come to you, not as scattered thoughts, but as streams of light connecting into a clear direction. Strategies will no longer be the result of tense calculation, but a natural unfolding from union with me. As it is written, I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. Psalm 32:8. You will realize that you are no longer trying to find the way, you are walking on the path already opened. Remember Jeremiah, when he was still young and afraid, seeing himself as insufficient to speak on my behalf. But I touched his mouth, and from a weak man he became a voice that shook an entire nation. Jeremiah 1. Do you see? What I do is not based on your initial confidence, but on my touch. When I place my hand upon you, you cannot remain in your old state. As it is written, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations. Jeremiah 1:5. And in the same way, what I have placed within you is not something newly created. It is something appointed beforehand, now being activated. You will clearly feel an urging from within, not pressure, but the propulsion of life. It will make it impossible for you to return to old limitations. Impossible to accept the lower levels you once became accustomed to. There will be moments when you feel as though an invisible hand is resting upon your shoulder, leading you forward, and you will know that you no longer belong to the old place. As it is written, no one who puts his hand to the plow and looks back is fit for the kingdom of God. Luke 9:62. Not because you are being forced, but because you have been changed in such a way that you can no longer go back. Your mission in this season will no longer be a question needing an answer. It will become a current of movement, that you only need to follow. You will speak, and your words will carry weight. You will act, and your actions will create influence, not because you have become special in the way the world recognizes, but because you are carrying what belongs to me. As it is written, "My word shall not return to me empty, but it shall accomplish what I please." Isaiah 55:11. When you speak from the place I have established within you, your words are no longer merely your own. Look back at Esther, one who once lived in hiddenness, without position or power according to natural understanding. But when the appointed time came, I placed her in the right position, at the right moment, and through her, an entire people was delivered. Who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this? Esther 4:14. Do you see? There are moments when I do not merely change the life of one person, I use that person to change the course of many other lives. And you are stepping into such a time. I want you to understand this clearly. What you are doing does not only have value in the present, it carries a dimension that reaches beyond time. What you sow in this season will continue to spread, flowing through people you have never met, influencing generations you have never seen. As it is written, "The one who sows to the Spirit will from the Spirit reap eternal life." Galatians 6:8. The living water does not stop with you. It continues to flow, continues to produce life, continues to expand its influence. Therefore, beloved child, do not doubt the position in which you stand. Do not make light of what is being awakened within your heart. Do not step back because you feel unready. For I do not wait until you are perfect before I send you. I send you, and within that very journey, I perfect you. Walk forward with this conviction. You are in your appointed time. You are carrying the flow of life. You are being propelled into your mission, and I am with you in every step, in every word, in every influence that will be opened through your life. Beloved child, before you leave behind the words I have spoken into your heart, pause for a moment and receive what I am placing deep within your soul, not a passing emotion, but an enduring seal that cannot be erased. I do not send you away with scattered fragments of ideas or fleeting encouragement. I place within you a living reality, a flow now in motion, a transformation that has been initiated from eternity. As it is written, God has also sealed us and given us the Spirit in our hearts as a guarantee. 2 Corinthians 1:22. What you are carrying is not something you created for yourself. It is a seal from me. Understand this clearly. My child, from the moment you receive this word, a change has taken place within you, not on the surface, but in the deep place where you can no longer return to your former state. The rhythm within you has been adjusted. Your breath now carries a different frequency, and your vision is no longer limited by what you once saw before. As it is written, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed away. Behold, the new has come. 2 Corinthians 5:17. You are not merely thinking differently, you are becoming a different person at the very core of who you are. Do not mistake what you feel for a temporary stirring. I do not move your heart merely so you can feel something and then return to what was. I am positioning you, placing you in the right place, within the flow of my plan. What you are receiving is not encouragement simply to keep trying. It is a handover so that you may begin to operate. As it is written, I have put my words in your mouth to uproot and tear down, to destroy and overthrow, to build and to plant. Jeremiah 1:9-10. When I entrust something to you, I also entrust the authority for it to be carried out. Remember Elisha when he received the mantle from Elijah. It was not merely a symbol, it was the transfer of authority, a moment from which he was no longer the same man. And when he took that mantle and struck the waters of the Jordan, the waters parted, confirming that what he had received was not imagination, but reality. 2 Kings 2. Do you see? There are moments when I do not merely teach, I entrust. And when I have entrusted, you no longer need to wait for another sign. I want you to engrave this upon your heart. You are no longer standing in the place of waiting. You no longer need another signal, another confirmation, or another outward sign. The signal has already been released from heaven, and it has touched you. As it is written, today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts. Hebrews 3:15. What matters now is not whether you hear something more, but whether you will walk in what you have already received. From this point forward, you carry a flow, a life that does not stand still. It will continue to move, continue to expand, continue to lead you deeper into what I have appointed. There will be days when you do not feel as clear as you do now, but what I have placed within you does not depend on your emotions. It is real. It has been sealed, and it will complete what I have begun. As it is written, he who began a good work in you will bring it to completion until the day of Jesus Christ. Philippians 1:6. Therefore, beloved child, walk with steadiness, not with confidence that comes from yourself, but with certainty that comes from me. Hold fast to the peace I have placed within your heart. That is the sign that you are walking in the right direction. Let this confirmation anchor you, even when everything around you has not yet changed immediately. For I have spoken, I have entrusted, I have sealed, and what I have begun in you, I will complete. Beloved child, engrave this deeply within your heart. What is coming to you is not a random coincidence, nor a passing wind that appears and then disappears. It is the fruit of an entire journey you have walked through, a journey in which you chose to remain when everything tried to make you leave, chose to believe when nothing was clear, and chose to stand firm when everything around you seemed to collapse. I have seen it all. Not one of your tears has fallen without being noticed by me. Not one prayer you whispered in silence has been overlooked. As it is written, you have kept count of my wanderings, put my tears in your bottle. Psalm 56:8. What you thought had been forgotten, in my eyes, was being accumulated, and from that very place of accumulation, I am bringing forth a turning, not a small, isolated change, but a purposeful turning point where the scattered pieces of your past begin to connect. What you have gone through, whether pain or silence, no longer stands alone, but is being woven into a complete picture. As it is written, all things work together for good for those who love God. Romans 8:28. You will begin to see meaning in the things that once confused you. You will recognize that no season was useless, and no stretch of the road was wasted. Remember Joseph, the one who endured years of being sold, betrayed, and forgotten in the darkness of prison. Each part of his journey seemed scattered, unrelated, even meaningless. But when the appointed time came, everything connected and brought him into a position no one else could occupy in his place. And he said, you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good. Genesis 50-20. Do you see? What you went through was not delay, it was preparation. Therefore, my child, rise in this new awareness. You are no longer someone standing outside and watching the flow. You are no longer someone trying to find a way in. You are already in it. You are part of that flow. And when you walk, you do not walk alone. You carry life. When you lift your voice, your words are no longer empty. They carry opening. When you are present, the atmosphere around you cannot remain as it was. As it is written, you are the light of the world. Matthew 5:14. Light does not have to strive in order to shine. It only needs to be present. Do not think this comes from your own strength. It is not that you have become stronger in a natural way, but that you are carrying within you my water, a flow that cannot be stopped, cannot be slowed, cannot be extinguished. As it is written, when the enemy comes in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord will lift up a standard against him. Isaiah 59:19. That water does not only protect you, it also propels you forward. There will be moments when you look back and realize that what once wounded you has become the foundation for what I am building. What once made you weak has become the place where I reveal my strength. As it is written, my power is made perfect in weakness. 2 Corinthians 12:9. And you will no longer be ashamed of your journey. You will see it as part of the story I am telling through your life. Therefore, beloved child, walk with conviction. Do not return to the old posture of doubt or fear. Do not wonder whether you are enough. What I have placed within you is enough, because it comes from me. Let that flow continue to lead you, and you will see things you could not imagine before. Beloved child, recognize the movement taking place in the depths, where your natural eyes cannot see. The forces that once pulled you off course, the impulses that made you struggle like one swimming against the current, no longer hold the same authority as before. Not because you have finally become strong enough to defeat them, but because I myself am drawing them back, like the tide quietly receding when the first light of day appears. Those pressures will gradually lose their place. You once thought your weariness was a sign of weakness, but I tell you, I allowed those currents to exist until the appointed time, so that when I intervened, you would not only be delivered, but firmly established. As it is written, the Lord will go before you, and the God of Israel will be your rear guard. Isaiah 52:12. You are no longer being pulled back by what is behind you, nor driven by what is outside you. In this intervention, I am realigning your life, a realignment that does not come from your willpower, but from my authority. The voices that once planted doubt in your mind will gradually grow quieter, then disappear like an echo fading into empty space. The influences that once made you unsteady will no longer find a place to hold on, not because you have shut them out, but because I am establishing a new order, where only what belongs to me has the right to remain. As it is written, He set my feet upon a rock, Psalm 42. And you will feel this stability not as the effort of keeping your balance, but as a foundation being raised beneath your feet. Then you will look back at the doors that were once closed, the places where you stood waiting, wondering what you lacked, trying to perfect yourself in order to find a way in. You thought that if you became better, stronger, more worthy, they would open. But, my child, the truth was not there. Those doors did not open because the time had not yet come. I held them back, not to reject you, but to protect you from entering too soon. As it is written, to everything there is a season. Ecclesiastes 3:1. There are things that only become right when the time is right, and I never allow you to step into the wrong moment. But now, as the flow from me begins to rise powerfully in your life, you will witness something you could not understand before. Those doors will open without you needing to knock, not because you have found the key, but because your very presence has become the key. As it is written, I have set before you an open door, which no one is able to shut. Revelation 3-8. When I open, no power can close, and when I have appointed it, no circumstance can delay it. Remember Peter when he was imprisoned, bound in chains and guarded closely. There was no natural way for him to escape. But that night, when my angel came, the chains fell off. The prison doors opened by themselves, and he walked out without needing to break anything. Acts 12. Do you see? There are doors that do not open by effort, but by intervention. And when I act, every barrier becomes meaningless. You will begin to recognize a clear change. You are no longer being torn between moving forward and turning back. You are no longer being pulled backward by what is past, nor pressured by what surrounds you. There is a new freedom in your steps, a lightness that is gentle, yet certain, not because you have solved everything, but because I have placed my hand upon your journey. Beloved child, before your eyes turn toward distant horizons or wait for signs to appear outwardly, return to the deepest place within yourself, because I always begin there. What I do does not begin with a change in circumstances, but with the awakening of a source of life that has already been placed within your soul. That flow does not move from the outside inward, but pours out from within you, then spreads into every area of your life. As it is written, keep your heart with all vigilance, for from it flow the springs of life. Proverbs 4:23. And you will realize that everything outside is only a reflection of what is being formed within. There are layers of soil within your heart that have grown dry and hard over the years, not because you wanted them to be so, but because you passed through long days without seeing results. Moments of hope followed by silence, and thoughts you carved deeply into your own heart when you believed you were not enough. But my child, I do not see those cracks as an ending. I see them as ground, waiting to be watered. As it is written, I will make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. Isaiah 43:19. The very place where you thought everything had run dry is where I desire to make life rise most powerfully. Remember the vision of the prophet when he stood in the valley full of dry bones. There was no sign of life, no hope, according to natural understanding. But when my word was spoken and my breath was breathed into them, everything began to move, connect, and live again. Do you see? I do not need perfect conditions in order to perform a miracle. I only need a place for my life to touch. And your inner being, though it was once quiet and fractured, is now the very place where I am working. As it is written, I will sprinkle clean water on you, and you shall be clean. Ezekiel 36:25. True renewal always begins in the most hidden place. My living water does not come rushing in to overwhelm you, but seeps into you little by little, steadily, patiently, without ceasing. It moves through every layer of dry soil, touches every place you have forgotten, and softens what once became rigid. You will begin to feel a change that is not loud, yet unmistakably clear. Your heart becomes gentler, no longer reacting as it once did, no longer being carried away by the old waves of emotion. This is not numbness, it is deep peace. As it is written, the peace of God will guard your hearts and your minds. Philippians 4:7. And that very peace will become your new standard. The knots that once left you confused will gradually be untied without you needing to strain. The darkness that once covered your thoughts will dissolve like mist beneath the morning light. The burdens in your soul will drift away like mud being washed from the riverbed when the waters rise. You will realize that you no longer have to repair yourself. The life within you is doing that work. As it is written, the Lord is my shepherd. He leads me beside still waters. Psalm 23:1-2. When I lead, you no longer have to struggle to find the way. There will come a time when you realize that you are thinking differently, responding differently, and seeing everything in a different light. Not because you are forcing yourself to change, but because you have been placed into a new rhythm, a rhythm in which you no longer live by pressure, but by the flow, a rhythm in which you no longer have to prove yourself, but only need to be present. And from that presence, everything will begin to move. I want you to understand this deeply. When your inner being is watered, that is the first sign that the season of turning has begun. You do not need to wait for circumstances to change in order to believe. The change within you is the evidence. When the inside becomes flexible, the outside cannot remain still. When the source of life has been awakened, everything around you will gradually begin to align. Beloved child, as you remain in the flow I have released, you will begin to witness movements that are very natural, yet deeply profound things that once clung tightly to you. Things that once seemed impossible to separate from you will now quietly let go. Not because you have decided to cut them off, nor because you have become cold, but because the new life operating within you cannot coexist with what has lost its vitality, like withered leaves falling on their own when the season changes. Connections that no longer bear fruit will depart from you without you needing to force them. As it is written, every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. Matthew 7:19. Yet, what I am doing is not destruction, but purification, preserving what has life and allowing what has dried up to drift away. Do not carry guilt when those things leave your life. For when I renew a season, I also adjust what is permitted to remain in that season. My flow has a sifting nature. It does not hold on to what no longer aligns with the purpose I have appointed. As it is written, He will sit as a refiner and purifier of silver. Malachi 3:3. I am refining you. And in that process, what no longer corresponds will leave on its own, not because you are losing something, but because you are being placed into something better. Alongside that release, you will begin to see new people step into your life, not because you arranged it, not because you tried to build it, but because of an attraction that comes from the life within you. When my water flows through you, it releases a fragrance that kindred souls will recognize. As it is written, whoever walks with the wise becomes wise. Proverbs 13:20. I will bring beside you those who carry the same heartbeat as what I am doing. They will not come to fill an emptiness, but to walk with you in the new journey, a journey not built on force, but on harmony. You will no longer need to compete for a position or seek recognition as you once did, because when you carry my life, your very presence creates space. You are not striving to belong. You naturally belong where I place you. As it is written, you are the fragrance of Christ, 2 Corinthians 2:15. And that fragrance does not need to struggle in order to spread. It simply needs to exist. Remember the moment when the people of Israel stood before the swelling waters of the Jordan. There was no visible sign that a path would open. But when those who carried the Ark of the Covenant stepped forward, the moment their feet touched the water, the river immediately stopped and opened a way for all the people to pass through. Joshua 3. Do you see? It was not that the waters became weak, but that my presence caused them to respond. And in the same way, in this season, as you walk carrying me, the environment around you will not be able to remain in its old state. The doors that once felt heavy will become light, as though they have been anointed with oil. The places that were once chaotic will gradually be set in order, as though an invisible hand is clearing the way before you, not because you can control the circumstances, but because I am going before you. As it is written, prepare the way of the Lord, make straight his paths. Isaiah 40:3. And now I am carrying this out through your very life, through every step you take, through every place you enter. You will realize that you no longer have to strive to change the environment. The environment itself is beginning to change around you, not because you have become powerful according to the world's understanding, but because you are carrying my presence, a presence that cannot be ignored, cannot be neutralized. Therefore, beloved child, let what needs to leave. Leave. Open your heart to receive what I bring. Do not cling to the old because it is familiar, and do not fear the new because you do not yet fully understand it. Remain in the flow. For I am purifying you, connecting you, and preparing the way for you step by step, in perfect order. Beloved child, when I say you are becoming sharper, this is not something for you to fear, but a clear sign that the flow of life within you is accelerating and realigning your trajectory. This sharpness is not hardness of mind, but clarity of soul, a capacity to discern, a decisiveness, an inner light that keeps you from remaining confused as before. As it is written, the Word of God is living and active, sharper than any two-edged sword, Hebrews 4:12. And when that word operates within you, you also begin to carry that sharpness not to wound, but to cut away what does not belong to me. Do not be afraid when you feel that you can no longer tolerate what is vague, no longer accept delay or half-heartedness. This does not mean you are becoming harsh. It means you are being adjusted to move along the appointed trajectory. My flow of life does not operate in postponement. It operates in precision. And when you are in that flow, you will no longer live in the state of waiting as before. You are no longer someone standing outside and looking into your appointed time. You are living within it now. As it is written, behold, now is the favorable time. Behold, now is the day of salvation. 2 Corinthians 6:2. And you are no longer in the realm of it will come. You are in the realm of it is happening. Your mission now is no longer a question needing an answer, nor is it a distant dream you hope to touch one day. It has become movement, an inner propulsion that makes it impossible for you to stand still, impossible to turn back, impossible to delay. By the people, you will find yourself acting not because you are being forced, but because you cannot remain inactive. As it is written, woe to me if I do not preach the gospel. 1 Corinthians 9:16. When my life touches you, it no longer leaves you in a passive state. And as you walk in that movement, you will see influence spread in ways you cannot control or measure. Like ripples moving outward from a single touch upon the surface of the water. What you do will reach people you have never met, touch places where your feet have never stood, and continue echoing through generations you have never seen. As it is written, the seed grows and becomes a great tree. Matthew 13:31-3:2. The small thing you carry will not remain limited to its original size. Remember Gideon, a man who was afraid, hiding himself, and unable to see his own capacity. But when I called him, I did not call him according to his present condition, but according to what I had placed within him, mighty man of valor. Use 6:12. And from that place of weakness, I used him to shake an entire army. Do you see? I am not limited by the way you see yourself. I see you according to what I have appointed. And when I decide to use you, no weakness can hinder that purpose. So it was with Esther, a woman who thought herself small within a vast palace. But when the appointed time came, I placed her in the right position to change the destiny of an entire people. Who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this? Esther 4:14. Do you see? There are moments that cannot be delayed, and there are people chosen to stand precisely within those moments. And you are stepping into such a moment now. Therefore, beloved child, stand firm in your calling. Do not look back at your old weakness as a reason to doubt. What you once were no longer defines you. What I have placed within you is what determines where you will go. As it is written, my power is made perfect in weakness. 2 Corinthians 12:9. The very place where you thought you were not enough is where I reveal my fullness. You are not being left behind in the old current. You are no longer being held back by past limitations. You are stepping into the flow I have used to raise up those who change eras, those who do not live according to circumstances, but shape circumstances, those who are not led by the times, but become markers within the times. And hear this clearly. My child, when I have decided to let that flow of life move through your life, no force can stop it. No opposition is strong enough to extinguish it. No circumstance is great enough to delay it. So walk forward, without hesitation, without turning back, for you are in your time, and I am with you in every step. Beloved child, understand this clearly in the deepest place of your soul. You are no longer standing on the edge, learning how to swim in the flow. You have become part of that very flow. You no longer operate as one trying to adapt, but as one who has been joined to the rhythm of the life I have placed within you. As it is written, out of his heart will flow rivers of living water. John 7:38. You are no longer the one searching for the flow. You are the place where the flow is revealed. You do not need to wait for an outward sign in order to begin, because your very presence has become the signal. When you walk, you do not go in search of a favorable environment. You carry the environment of life with you. Where you are present, the atmosphere cannot remain in its former state. Not because you are great in the way the world understands greatness, but because I go with you. As it is written, the Lord is with you like a mighty warrior. Jeremiah 20:11. And that presence does not only protect you, it shapes the space around you. Remember the time when the Ark of the Covenant was placed in the house of Obed-Edom. There was no elaborate ceremony, no great noise, yet simply because my presence was there, the entire household was clearly blessed. 2 Samuel 6. Do you see? Change does not come from the effort you produce, but from what you carry. And now, you will also see this happen wherever you step. What was dry will begin to show signs of life, and what was chaotic will gradually be set in order. I want you to see this through the image of dawn. Dawn does not arrive with noise. It does not shatter the darkness with a violent sound. It spreads light little by little, until darkness no longer has a place to remain. In the same way, the breakthrough within you will not come through your striving to prove or display yourself. It will come like light gradually increasing, deeply rooted, irresistible. As it is written, the path of the righteous is like the light of dawn, which shines brighter and brighter until full day. Proverbs 4:18. You will recognize subtle yet powerful changes. You will speak less, yet your words will carry greater weight. You will not strive to draw attention, yet others will be touched. You will not strain to create influence, yet influence will spread naturally, not because you have learned a new skill, but because you are operating from the source of life within. As it is written, not by might, nor by power, but by my Spirit. Zechariah 4:6. There will be times when you stand still, yet everything around you moves. There will be times when you are not searching, yet the right things come to you. This is not passivity, it is the sign of one who is in the right flow. When you no longer have to push yourself forward, but are carried by the flow of life, everything becomes lighter while remaining precise. Do not return to the old way, trying to control, trying to prove, trying to make everything happen. Those things no longer fit who you are becoming. You are being called to operate in another way, not by your own strength, but by the outpouring of what I have placed within you. As it is written, whoever abides in me bears much fruit. John 15:5. Not because they strive to bear fruit, but because they remain connected to the right source. Therefore, beloved child, walk in this awareness. You are no longer searching for the flow, you are carrying it. You are no longer waiting for the time, you are living within it. You are no longer needing to create influence, you are becoming a source of influence. And as you remain in that flow, the light will continue to spread until no darkness can stand before you. Beloved child, I place this word upon you like an unfading seal. not as a word for you to keep merely in memory, but as an engraving upon your soul, a confirmation that what I have begun has moved into the stage of operation. You are no longer in the place of preparation, no longer in the place of learning about the flow. You are in that very flow. As it is written, God has sealed us and given us the Spirit in our hearts as a guarantee. 2 Corinthians 1:22. You do not carry doubt, you carry confirmation. You are no longer standing outside, watching a new season draw near. You carry that season within your very steps. When you walk, you do not merely move through space, you carry a shift with you. Those around you may not be able to name what they feel, but they will recognize that there is a difference, a steadiness that is not easily shaken, a light that cannot be hidden, a peace that is not displaced by circumstances. As it is written, you are the light of the world, let your light shine before others. Matthew 5:14-16. And that light does not need to prove itself, it reveals itself. This is not you trying to become different. It is evidence that I have fulfilled what I have spoken. What I placed within you is no longer merely potential, it has become reality. As it is written, my word shall not return to me empty, but it shall accomplish what I please. Isaiah 55:11. And now, your very life is the place where that word is being fulfilled. Therefore, my child, go as one who knows they have been sent. Do not walk with hesitation, and do not look back with the posture of one who is uncertain. You have been sent not by your own will, but by me. As it is written, he whom God has sent speaks the words of God, John 3:34. And you no longer speak from fear, but from conviction. Stand as one who knows they are being kept, not kept by your own strength, but by my hand. Though circumstances may change, your foundation will not be shaken, because I am the one who stands before you and behind you. As it is written, the Lord will go before you, he will be with you. Deuteronomy 31:8. You are not alone on this journey. You are covered, and shine as one who knows they have been lit by a fire that never goes out. Your light does not come from the effort to keep the flame alive, but from the source of fire I have placed within you, a steadfast flame that cannot be extinguished by the winds of life. As it is written, the light of the righteous rejoices. Proverbs 13:9. And that light will continue to spread. I have placed a flow within your heart, a stream that does not run dry. I have placed the wind of a new season upon your shoulders, a movement that cannot be reversed. I have placed fire in your soul, a warmth that does not fade. You have been positioned, entrusted with authority, and launched into the trajectory I wrote before you even understood it. As it is written, I know the plans I have for you, plans for peace and not for evil. Jeremiah 29:11. You do not walk in uncertainty, you walk within an appointed plan. There will come a time when others look at your life and see not only what you do, but what I am doing through you. They will recognize that a greater power is at work, that a life beyond human limitation is flowing forth. And that is the purpose, not to exalt you, but to reveal me. Therefore, beloved child, step out without hesitation, without doubt. I have completed what I began within you, and now is the time for you to walk in full commissioning as one who carries the flow of life, carries the new season, and carries my very presence into the places where I send you. Beloved child, as you walk through these days, you will gradually realize that the word I have placed in your heart is not something distant, waiting for time to confirm it, but a reality unfolding beneath your every step. You will no longer need to search for signs in order to believe, because what you experience will itself become the evidence. Places that were once dry will begin to show signs of life, not loudly, but clearly. Connections that were once cold will gradually become warm again. Not because you are trying to repair them, but because the life within you is spreading. Opportunities that once seemed faint will become clear, and crossroads that once made you hesitate will begin to appear with a clarity you did not have before. As it is written, He makes me stand on the high places. Psalm 18:33. You are no longer standing within the old limitations. I have raised the ground beneath you. Do not think that you have suddenly become extraordinary in a natural way. What you are feeling is not a random shift, but the result of an elevation I have carried out within you. You no longer see from the old perspective, and you no longer respond from the old foundation. The things that once confused you no longer carry the same weight, because you are standing in a different position. As it is written, He drew me up from the pit of destruction and set my feet upon a rock. Psalm 42. When the foundation changes, the way you see and the way you walk change with it. You may not yet see the entire picture I am painting, but you do not need to see all of it in order to walk. The movement has begun, and it will continue to unfold piece by piece. You will witness a turning even in the places you once thought impossible. The areas you once considered closed will begin to open slightly, not by your strength, but by my intervention. The places where you once felt you had no voice will become places where your voice is heard. Not because you are trying to assert yourself, but because you are speaking from a new foundation. As it is written, the mouth of the righteous utters wisdom. Psalm 37:30. Remember Daniel, who once lived in a foreign and pressure-filled environment. He did not strive to prove himself, nor did he try to seize a position. But because he stood firm in what I had placed within him, the circumstances around him were compelled to change. Kings listened to him, and great decisions were influenced by him, not because he learned something new overnight, but because he carried a different foundation, a foundation that came from me. Daniel 6. Do you see? When I lift you up, you do not need to fight to be heard. Your presence already carries a voice. What I am doing is not adding outward skills to you, but changing the root of where you stand. You are no longer in the soil of self-doubt, where every step is pulled back by the question, am I enough? You have been placed on a new foundation, the foundation of conviction, of life, of a flow that cannot be hindered. As it is written, whoever believes in me, out of his heart will flow rivers of living water. John 7:38. And you are living from that source, not from the old fear. There will be moments when you pause and realize you no longer react as you once did. The things that once made you draw back can no longer hold you. The situations that once left you confused now become clear, not because you have gained control over everything, but because you are operating from a higher foundation. And when you stand higher, what is below no longer governs you as it once did. Therefore, beloved child, do not worry when you cannot yet see the entire journey. Do not turn back to seek certainty in old things. What I am opening does not require you to understand everything. It only requires you to walk in trust. For each step you take will make the path before you clearer. I have lifted you up. I have changed the foundation on which you stand. And from that foundation, you will see everything begin to move, not from the outside first, but from the very life of mine that is operating within you. Beloved child, engrave this in the depths of your soul. You do not become a sign of the new season because you announce yourself, but because the life I have placed within you cannot be hidden. When that source of life begins to operate, it will reveal itself through every step you take, through every place you pass through, leaving a trace without you needing to prove anything. As it is written, let your light shine before others. Matthew 5:16. Light does not need permission to shine. It only needs to be present. And so it is with you. You are living evidence of the flow. Because wherever you step, life will begin to spring forth. Dryness will be broken, and what once lay dormant will be awakened. But understand this calling rightly. You are not called to stand above others, nor to seek a higher position. You are called to open the way. You have been placed here so that those who come after you may enter more easily. As it is written, lift up your heads, O gates, that the King of glory may come in. Psalm 24:7. When you enter new spaces, the doors do not open because of you, but because I go before you. You do not need to break the door down. You only need to follow me. Remember that what keeps you standing firm amid every movement is not a passing emotion, but covenant. Covenant is a quiet yet unshakable strength. It is not loud, but it keeps you steady through every change. I do not merely walk beside you as a companion. I go before you to prepare the way. I surround you to protect you, and I uphold you so that you will not fall. As it is written, the Lord surrounds his people from this time forth and forevermore. Psalm 125:2. You do not keep yourself by your own strength. You are kept by me. Therefore, you do not need to strain to prove your worth in this season. You do not need to convince anyone that you have changed. What I have done within you will reveal itself in a way that cannot be denied. You only need to walk in conviction that your season is no longer something approaching, but something that has truly opened, like the dawn that does not ask darkness for permission. The light continues to spread until night has no place left to stand. As it is written, the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1:5. Your season is the same. It does not depend on the approval of circumstances. Walk with a powerful peace, a peace that is not shaken by what happens around you. As it is written, you keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on you. Isaiah 26:3. Walk with a humble heart, not in weakness, but in the steadiness of knowing that everything comes from me. And walk with unwavering faith, a faith not based on what you see, but on the one who is leading you. You do not walk alone. I am with you in every step, every decision, every influence you carry. And I am not only with you, I have gone before you. The paths you will walk have been prepared by me. The places you will enter have already been made ready by me. As it is written, I will go before you and make the rough places smooth. Isaiah 45:2. Therefore, beloved child, move forward, without hesitation, without turning back, for your season has opened. And as you go, those who come after you will see the footprints of life, the traces of the water I have caused to flow through your life. Beloved child, do not go back to measuring yourself by what you once had, because the old standards no longer reflect your new reality. What you experienced before was only a tool for one stage, not the definition of your entire journey. Now, I am not asking you to start over, nor am I placing you in the position of a beginner. I have poured upon you a new anointing, a shift that is not outward, but deep within the place from which you operate. As it is written, the Spirit of the Lord God is upon me. Isaiah 61:1. This is not merely a declaration to be repeated, but the reality of one who has been touched. Look at David when he was still a shepherd among his brothers. After he was anointed, he did not immediately step onto the throne, nor did he leave the pasture at once. But my child, what changed was not his outward circumstance, but his inward awareness. He still tended the sheep, but he was no longer the same boy. There was an invisible authority, a quiet conviction, a knowing that I had placed my hand upon his life. 1 Samuel 16. And in the same way, you may still be walking through familiar environments, but you no longer belong to the old level. Your soul has been lifted. You do not enter this new reality as one who must restart life, nor do you return to the starting point to begin again from nothing. You enter as one who has passed through a journey of training, though no one saw it, though no one acknowledged it. I witnessed every step. As it is written, God has sealed us. 2 Corinthians 1:22. You do not walk with uncertainty, but with a confirming seal that you have been prepared. The years you passed through did not set you back as you once thought. They shaped you. The trials did not take away your worth. They revealed your true foundation. The silent days did not make you nameless. They built depth within you. As it is written, after you have suffered a little while, the God of all grace will restore, confirm, strengthen, and establish you. 1 Peter 5:10. What you called delay, I called preparation. And now, when I place my hand upon you, this is not a sudden beginning, but the continuation of a plan written beforehand. I am not experimenting with you. I am activating what has already been formed. As it is written, before I formed you, I knew you. Jeremiah 1-5. This journey did not begin today. It is only being revealed more clearly today. You will realize that you no longer react as you once did. The things that once made you doubt can no longer carry the same weight. The limitations you once accepted no longer fit, not because you are forcing yourself to change, but because you have been placed into another level of operation. And when you stand on that level, you cannot return to the old way of living. Do not be afraid when you feel different within the very environments that are familiar to you. This is not estrangement, it is maturity. You are still there, but you are no longer the same as before. As it is written, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. 2 Corinthians 5:17. That newness is not always seen immediately on the outside, but it shapes everything you do from within. Therefore, beloved child, walk with this awareness. You are not starting over, you are continuing. You are not lacking, you have been equipped. You have not been left behind, you have been prepared. And now, you are being brought into your position. Lift up your head and walk in conviction. For what I have begun within you is not a small thing. And now, you are no longer the one preparing for the new season. You are the one operating within it.